make sure that worked.
Oh, that's right.
This is like softball.
All right, we're going to call tonight's board meeting to order. If you guys would please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Superintendent.
So good evening and welcome. I'd like to welcome back tonight our student representative, Montana Henson from Eustis High School. A little bit about Montana, who we met at our last meeting, and we'll get to hear from her again. Glad to see her. She is a senior at Eustis High School, and over the course of her high school career has been enrolled in many AP courses, of which she has scored extremely well. She has been involved with Student Government Association in a leadership role, Beta Club, National Honor Society, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Jefferson Club, School Advisory Council, School Improvement Plan Committee, High Q Club and volleyball team. She has been actively involved in community service through clubs she's participated in, and in her spare time, she also has a job. So I don't know how she does that. And also tonight, we want to recognize and introduce our Rookie Teacher of the Year, Maverick Bear from Carver Middle School. So welcome. Mr. Bear is an emotional and behavioral disability teacher at Carver Middle School, a position that he has held for 2 years. He believes education is at its best when it's a team effort involving teachers, teacher assistants, administrators, coaches, parents, and guardians. He keeps the lines of communication open and often sends home links to videos to help parents or guardians understand how to help their students with their work. His philosophy is constantly evolving as he gains experience serving various types of learners, and he believes that every child should have the right to learn in a quality education. And then tonight we are also we're recognizing our school-related Employee of the Year finalist, Maria Torres. She is a parent involvement specialist with Title I, and she's unable to be with us this evening, so we're hoping that she'll be able to come to a future meeting so that we can recognize and celebrate her achievements as well. So welcome to Montana and to Mr. Bear, and we'll hear from them shortly. And then also, you had a chance, hopefully, to view the scrolling screen when you came in. You had some time in the lobby, I'm sure, as you waited a little while to enjoy that. It was just shared a few highlights of the school year, and thank you to Ms. Owens and her staff for putting that together for us. But I wanted to just highlight a few of the highlights. So we were all so excited to learn that Tammy Jerkins of Leesburg High School, who is our district teacher of the year, is now one of the 5 finalists for state teacher of the year. A truly tremendous honor. So Lake County now has a state teacher of the year finalist, as well as an assistant principal of the year finalist in Marlene Strawn from Mount Dora High School. So we are so proud of Mrs. Jerkins and Ms. Strawn, and we will find out in a few weeks the winners of these prestigious awards and wish them the best of luck. Also want to say congratulations to our 3rd grade teachers, their staffs, and students. The state assessment scores released last week showed a 6% increase in students scoring proficient, moving from 57% to 63%. That's a significant increase. And we're above the state average, which was 58%. In addition, every one of our 20 public schools decreased the percentage of students scoring at level 1, and that is something certainly to celebrate. So I'm very proud of them. Also want to say congratulations to the Eustis High Lady Panthers, who made it to the state championship game on Saturday morning, and although they lost in this final game, they showed what it means to be a true champion. Their principal has thanked the fans for showing up in force, wearing their blue and gold. And we want to say congratulations not only to the team, but to coaches Beal, Scott, Glover, and Ross on a great season, and we look forward to 2018. And of course, I want to say congratulations to the class of 2017. We had most of our graduation ceremonies over the weekend, but we will celebrate Lake County virtual school graduates on Thursday, so we're looking forward to that as well. And that's all my updates.
Okay, thank you for those. There's lots of really good ones. It's that time of year.
It is.
We are at the changes, amendments, additions, or deletions to the agendas. Board members? Mr. Johnson? Okay. Seeing none, we are approval of the minutes.
I recommend approval of the minutes of the regular school board meeting dated April 24th, 2017, and the special meeting May 1st, 2017, and the regular school board meeting May 8th, 2017.
We have a recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. We are now at our representation section, and we have Mrs. Carmen Colombat to do a nice recognition for our dreamers and doers.
Thank you, Vice Chairman, school board members, superintendent. The Disney Dreamer and Doers program began in 1984, and it recognizes students who serve as role models in school, at home, and in their community. Each year, approximately 400 students are selected by their principal, and they become the dreamer and doer in their school. The program is open to all schools, public and private, in the 5-county Central Florida area. Of the selected dreamers and doers, 3 from each county are selected by a panel of Disney judges as the county's shining stars. These students are considered the best of the best by consistently demonstrating outstanding character, leading by example, and having a caring spirit. Their stories capture the essence of what Disney is seeking in Shining Stars. Shining Stars receive an honorary certificate, a gold keepsake medallion, and a Walt Disney World annual pass, not only for themselves, but every member in their immediate family. On June the 10th, they're going to be invited to Animal Kingdom, where they're hosting a special event to honor the 15 selected Shining Stars. We have, and I've asked the superintendent to join us, we're going to recognize our 3 Lake County Shining Stars. The first one is Valoria Whitford. She's from Eustis Heights Elementary, and she is a 3rd grader. Valoria started a pet supply drive at her school and donates collected items and takes to a local shelter. Our second recipient is Jake DeChick from Windy Hill Middle School. He is not with us tonight, but Jake started a school-wide effort to encourage acts of kindness, and he is an 8th grader at Windy Hill. And our last recipient is Abigail Lawson from Tavares High School, a 12th grader. Abigail couldn't join us as well. She is a leader in the Tavares Future Farmers and used her skills while installing a new landscape design for the campus. Dreamers and Doers and Shining Stars are one of the many ways Disney supports education in Central Florida. Other examples include cash and in-kind donations, Teacher of the Year recognition, engagement of volunteers at local schools, and back-to-school supply drives. So thank you.
Yeah. We would love to recognize her, actually, if she can come up to the dais. Can we recognize her? The board would love to recognize you. You can walk down this way. I want to see your medal. Can I see your medal real quick? Congratulations. And that's right, you're not. Well done, young lady. That's nerve-wracking. Let's give her another round of applause. We have our next recognition by Mr. Hogan. If you could please come to the podium. We're going to recognize our Eastridge High School student athletes.
This evening we have 2 Eastridge athletes that we're going to recognize for a couple of outstanding accomplishments. Our first young man is Levante Valentine. Levante was an 8-time winner in the 100-meter sprint at track meets this season. on February 25th at the Eastside Invitational. He had a personal best time in the 100-meter of 10.44, which is outstanding. On May 4th, at the State Track Championships at IMG in Bradenton, he became the 4A state champion, running a time of 10.61. Levante is also a very talented football player who is being recruited by high major football programs, and as I understand, he's still deciding whether or not he's even going to play football. He loves track and loves football, and we have our new tradition of Lake County medals that I'm going to get Mr. Farnsworth to put around Levante. Levante, come on up.
Yeah.
Board would like to meet you.
The only one? Okay.
He's fast, so be
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, well done. Thank you for representing us.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Congratulations.
Our second student athlete recognition is Stephanie Samday. We're going to ask Coach Cuevas to come up and accept, after I start with her accomplishments. You can relax a little, Coach. This is going to take a few minutes. But Coach Cuevas is going to accept the medal for Stephanie because she is out of town with her volleyball, as she is quite often. But as I read some of her accomplishments, Max Prep, second team All-American, 2016-17 East Ridge High School Volleyball MVP, East Ridge High School Female Athlete of the Year, 2015 and 2016 USA Women Junior National Team, Spectrum Sport nominee for Volleyball Player of the Year in Florida, District Player of the Year, Central Florida Player of the Year, Florida Coaches Association All-American, Florida All-Star Invitee, Florida Dairy Farmers Miss Volleyball 2017, USA Volleyball Girls National Team member, Under Armour All-American Game MVP for the East Team, Under Armour All-American First Teamer, and Gatorade National Volleyball Player of the Year, Stephanie Samday. That's all I have.
It's a long list. Okay, we are at public input. First on our list is Mr. Klatt.
Good evening. Chairperson Luke now,
For tonight.
Superintendent. Spoke to you a couple weeks ago about retention, not recruiting. Well, it seems that several schools and our wonderful legislature did not get that message. So I'm expecting, if we continue to do as is, the state will be sending the reappointment police down here to ensure that we do not retain our effective and highly effective teachers. But we have principals who have also told highly effective teachers they were going to be reappointed, only to rescind the offer 2 days later. We have countless teachers being told that they will not be reappointed, but their job will be advertised. And the quote, "If I can't find anyone better, I'll bring you back." How demoralizing is that? We don't have a recruiting problem. We have a retention problem. 414 teachers hired this year. 239 resigned. Are we keeping good data? And I would love to work with you and revise our exit survey so we do have good data to find out why people are leaving. We applaud our third grade FSA test results, and know that the growth was because of the work and dedication of our teachers. We also applaud the school board for being proactive in putting in the contract its support of filling vacancies from within our school system. Sadly, not everyone has gotten that message. We applaud the idea of evaluating principals based on turnover, but then allow corrupting the data by letting principals prevent transfers to other schools or other positions. So in many ways, we are doing the right things. But then other areas, we probably need to make some course corrections. And I'll be very glad to work with you as we develop exit surveys and other processes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clapp. Next, we have Mr. Tibbetts.
Good evening. I'm going to be very brief, Madam Chairperson and Superintendent Cornegay. Just a couple of things. First of all, I was so excited to see item 8.06 on the agenda tonight, making a statement that we have so many talented people around that we can do things ourselves instead of spending money on overpriced consultants. So thank you, Superintendent Cornegay, for starting us in the right direction. I want to second your comments on the Eustis softball team. One looks at the paper, and unfortunately, they show students despairing for not winning, but the accomplishment will be with them forever. To be second in the state, it used to be those who finish second are losers. Not at all true. To be second in a state is such a profound accomplishment. And so I just want to congratulate them, along with these two students that we just acknowledged, for accomplishments that are extraordinary and need to be recognized. I also want to share with you, and for some of the old members, this will not be news that is unexpected, but Lakeview Terrace this week handed out $15,300 worth of scholarships, of which $10,000 of that went to graduates of Umatilla High School. This is a community of 306 old people, and I mean old in the sense that the average age is 82.5.
That's all.
But I want you to know that these people love students and the teachers and what we're doing. We had 11 new volunteers from this community this year, work in Umatilla Elementary School. 2 more have already committed to join me there next year. And finally, I just want to say, and I'm sure it's not really a great accomplishment of mine, but I worked with 3rd graders this year, so I'm going to live in the glory that their scores went up because we worked very hard to make that true. I still hate to see the pressure on these kids. I watched for 6 months the anxiety that we create by testing. We've got to do a better job of that. And I understand that there has to be measurements along the way, but we have to figure out a way to reduce the anxiety and let learning supersede test results. Thanks again for your time and your service.
Thank you, Mr. Tibbetts. And thank you for your time and your service. Last, we have Mr. Yoakum.
David, I'm going to use the overhead. Yep. Overhead. There you go. See, I brought my own timer. First of all, I've been in Vietnam and I've been in Iraq, but Mr. Tibbetts, you're a hero because you're dealing with 3rd graders. I don't think I could do that. Yeah, instead, I deal with accounting things. Superintendent Cordigay, my comment, kudos to you for sending that letter to Governor Scott. That's the kind of leadership that I think we've all been looking for here in Lake County. Howard did remind me of a couple things, and that was statements about the need for pensions and benefits costs going up. This, and of course, now I don't have it. I do have it. Yeah, there we go. A group called Truth in Accounting came out with a report, and they ranked Florida as C for fiscal conditions. Now, there are a lot worse states. They have terrible conditions. They've got Fs. They've got huge unfunded pension liabilities. This state has fairly good, it's about, I think, 94% of the pension liabilities are funded. However, they do make a point in the second page here, where you can see outlined in red down at the bottom, that there's $9 billion of unfunded liabilities for promises for retiree health insurance. Okay, now I don't know how it affects you guys, but here, and there are different government agencies, some of them are funding it and others are not, but they say none of that is funded because there's a new accounting provision coming in 1 or 2 years that's going to require that go on the books. And so that's another liability that you're maybe facing. I'll say maybe because I don't know, not having talked to the CFO this week. All right, so my suggestion as a taxpayer is, though, that you need to start thinking about not passing through the costs of these increased pensions and benefits, that instead, if Social Security recipients get less than 1% increase, then maybe that's the guideline you should follow. And anything in excess of that, either reduce the benefits if it can be done, or you increase the contributions from the employees. I mean, I hate to say that, but I think maybe that's one of the underlying causes why both Trump and Scott are starting to really cut back on funding to education, is they come from the business environment, and you just don't keep passing through costs like that. Okay, very quickly, I've summarized a couple of things, and look at that, I'm out of time. Just quickly, though,
You're doubly out of time.
item 1001 and 1003, they are contracts for the sheriff and for Mount Dora Police. I looked at those, and as an auditor, I say, I don't think that's auditable. I don't think a lot of things are defined. You're basically saying, let's give $800,000 to the sheriff for a period of time, and there's nothing related to hours, there's nothing related to day payments, or even mention any kind of timekeeping standards. I would not have ever accepted something like that in business, in the organizations I was in. And I think maybe you should ask Mr. Mock to look at that and provide some guidance on revising that contract, both of them. I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yocum. All right, it's that time when we get to hear from our representation. I had the distinct privilege of shaking Miss Henson's hand when she crossed the stage on Friday night at graduation. I know her proud principal is here. Also had that privilege. We welcome you back.
Well, thank you. Good evening, members of the Lake County School Board, Superintendent Cornegie, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to again represent Eustis High School. It's a privilege to speak on behalf of the over 1,300 students, faculty, staff, and administration of our school. For an update on sports that I'm sure you all know of, I am proud to inform you that our Lady Panther softball team played in the state championship game this past Saturday. After winning multiple games to get to the state championship game, they played a close game with a score of 2-1. They were up 1-0 the entire game until I believe the 6th or 7th inning. It was so close. They played hard and they played fair. Although they lost the state game, they are the regional champs and they are second in the state, and that is a proud fact, and they did play hard. This past Friday night, we had our commencement ceremonies for the graduating class of 2017. I mean, what a wonderful event. Our school always does a great job assembling the decorations and organizing the program so that it runs smoothly. It began at 7:30, And the overcast sky and the subtle breeze, it diminished the heat just so. It made the night so pleasurable for everyone there. We didn't sweat to death in the humidity and heat. It was always a great time with friends and family there together to celebrate the hard work that our graduates have put in over the past 4 years and largely over the past 12 years. I mean, it's hard to conceptualize that when we walked into kindergarten as our first day of school that it was over in the blink of an eye. I mean, 12 years passed by so quickly. I'm sure that it's even harder for the parents and families of those students to see their little babies growing up so fast. At the ceremony, we had our very own Miss Velez address the students with words of compassion and wise words for the future. As well, our student government executive president, myself, and our senior class president, Sophia Judkins, spoke on behalf of all of the graduating seniors. I mean, again, it's an honor to see the sparkling faces when you look out. I mean, everyone was grinning ear to ear. Like, you couldn't see no one's face. It was just all teeth. They were so excited to run up and get the diploma. I, for one, was. I mean, I'm sure I and my fellow classmates will always be thankful for the friendships made and the memories created during our time at Eustis High School. We will always be Panthers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bayer, you get to follow that. We're very glad you're here, and we can't wait to hear from you as well.
Awesome, thank you. That was a great job. I first want to thank the board and Superintendent Cornegay for having me here, and just for having the honor of having the Rookie Teacher of the Year program. I know a lot of districts don't have that program, and so just to be mentioned with Ella Gibson, who's an avid teacher from Windy Hill Middle School, and Evelyn Guzman, who's a fourth grade teacher at Triangle Elementary School. Just to be mentioned in the same breath as them is an extraordinary honor, and they were the other two finalists in the Rookie Teacher of the Year. And then I'd like to thank my administration, the other teachers I work with, my paraprofessionals that work sometimes one-on-one with students on a daily basis, and the parents of the students that are constantly pushing them to achieve. It definitely is a team effort, and I'm kind of looking around at some people that I know have taught in special education or currently work in special education, and I know that they recognize it's definitely a team effort, and I'm very grateful for my team. So a little bit about what I do. I teach social studies and mathematics to emotionally and behaviorally disabled students, grades 6 to 8. Basically, we're kind of in the business of putting ourselves out of business. What we like to see most of all is for our students to move outside of our classroom and make it in the general education setting. And so we've worked really hard at doing that. And I actually sat down today and I went through all the students I've had in the past 2 years, and I've had 30 students. Again, I teach in a self-contained classroom, so I don't have as many students perhaps as other teachers would. But I've had 30. 5 of them have moved, either to another school or another district. So I can't really speak about them. But of the 25 that I've had, we've had 11 that have moved into either partial or full-time into general education classes, which is about 44% of the students, which is pretty big for us. That's a big deal for us to see our students kind of take ownership and make it in the general education classes. So that's just something that has been exciting for me personally. We've also not retained a student in our program. They've all passed. Actually, this year we've had 4 students maintain an AB honor roll status this year, so that's another pretty cool thing for us. But as far as school-wide efforts at Carver Middle School, not only the Rookie Teacher of the Year, but we also had Mishika Thomas. She won the School-Related Employee of the Year for the district. She's also at Carver Middle School. And we did have Tammy Jerkins from the high school. So it's kind of neat to see all in the same feeder pattern. We kind of got those three things locked up. So that's kind of nice. And then I know this isn't my school, but there's Mrs. Wade and Miss Smith, who's now at Carver. But Mrs. Wade teaches at Fruitland Park Elementary School, and she is a phenomenal teacher. She had my students last year, and I have them this year, and just the incredible, they are really, really good at mathematics, and every single one of them mentioned her. And so it's really, it's tough because she has multiple grade levels, and it's awesome to see how well her students have done. Okay, so Carver. We do, sorry, I keep getting off, but we do personalized learning at Carver Middle School, and actually our reading and math departments have kind of led the way in that. And what's really neat about that is Mrs. Walker, who's an 8th grade intensive reading teacher, and Mrs. Farley, who's a 7th grade math teacher, were both recognized as high impact teachers. And basically what that means is Ms. Pam Stewart, who's our education commissioner, she looked at the student growth data and found that they're high impact. Just the data alone shows that those two teachers are high impact teachers. So that's pretty exciting. We're also excited about our FAME, Fantastic Achievement in Middle Education. We have 124 students at Carver who basically, to qualify, they have a 3.5 GPA and no C's. And through the first, second, and third 9 weeks, we've had 124 students. We also have 19 students that received the Presidential Award, which is basically a 3.5 GPA throughout their entire middle school career, and at least a 4 on their math and English language arts FSAs, so that's pretty exciting. And our culinary program is another bright spot for us. We have about an 80% pass rate for the National Registry of Food Safety Professionals exam, so we're still waiting on about 8 more exam results, but that's pretty exciting for us as well. So shout out to Mrs. May. And because that's the highest rate in the county. Actually, our students outperformed SeaWorld, so they actually had a higher pass rate than adults at SeaWorld, so that's pretty cool too. What's that? Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Might not want to eat anything at SeaWorld, but Mrs. Talbot teaches business and keyboarding, and her students actually take 2 exams, database exam and multimedia exams, and they have about an 80% pass rate as well, which is a huge improvement from last year. And lastly, our advancement via individual determination, our AVID enrollment has gone up about 73%, which is really exciting because we're trying to close achievement gaps. That's basically what that program's for. And so those are just some of the highlights. Again, at Carver, we do face challenges every day. But I think we have a really good core group of teachers, and our administration's been great. And I've noticed since I've been there, I've seen the achievement gap closing. I've seen student growth, and that's really what we're hoping for. So I guess lastly, thank you again for having me, and let's go Raiders.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bear. Thank you very much, and thank you for acknowledging everybody else that works at your school. You bring the heart of Carver Middle School here. We can see that very clearly, so thank you. Mr. Johnson?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we have no unfinished business, so we are at our consent agenda.
All right, well, I recommend approval of consent agenda items 8.01 to 10.13.
You've heard the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes 4-0. We are on to our discussion for Round Lake Elementary Charter School Capacity Increase Plan. I believe there's a presentation by Mrs. Bartberger, the principal. Nice. You brought some parents. Yeah.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for allowing us to bring this up for discussion tonight. I'm Linda Bartberger. I'm principal at Round Lake Elementary School, and I have been an administrator there for the past 12 years. We are a high-performing charter school that currently is under charter contract with the school district until the year 2023. Prior to March 1st of this year, we set a letter of intent to expand our programs at Round Lake per the high-performing charter statute. And we decided to do this for a couple different reasons. First of all, we have many parents that have requested our school to become a K-8 school over the years. And in order for their students to continue to receive the education they feel they were needing and getting at Round Lake. There's also a need for additional middle school seats in the district, especially in Mount Dora area, with the growth that's taking place out there currently. And simultaneously with our expansion plans, we also have the need for some refurbishing on many of our portables. Along with that, some of them are kind of on their last leg out the door. So after careful consideration of all these factors, the governing board of Round Lake Elementary is requesting that the Lake County School Board grant us permission to place a modular building on our campus, on your campus. This building will be supplied by Affordable Structures, and they will be up to all SREP standards and regulations that are necessary, and can house an additional 326 student stations. You should have received the email information from Affordable Structures. If not, I have hard copies. Do you need those? No? Okay. The project will cost approximately $2.2 million, and it will all be paid for by Round Lake Elementary in our unrestricted fund balance. Once the building is built and on campus, it of course becomes Round Lake or Lake County Schools property. And again, it will be all up to SREP requirements and standards so that it will be within code for that. So Round Lake is asking you to grant us permission to place a building on the property. Once, and hopefully this is approved, our attorney, Mr. Arnold, along with Mr. Johnson, your attorney, will work together to memorialize the changes brought about within our charter contract. I also have with me tonight Mary Salter, who is our finance director. I have Sean Arnold, who is our legal counsel. Mike Adams is here from Affordable Structures to answer any questions and address anything. And I also have my administrative support team here as well.
Oh, thank you for
Thank
bringing
you.
everyone. Mm-hmm. Board members?
I just want to say that I appreciate the opportunity to partner with you, and I look forward to casting a positive vote.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Can I have one of the, I don't think
Yes,
I
ma'am.
got it.
I have.
Did it come in an all message?
I don't
It was
remember
a-
getting an email too, or
You
either.
didn't get one either?
Not that I'm remembering.
Okay, I didn't, don't think.
Did you look?
I sent it to
I checked my email.
I sent it to the district, assuming it would get sent to you, so I apologize if it did not. Do you need 4 copies?
This is on the building?
I have my copy, yeah.
All right.
That's what I heard you ask, and then I'm like, oh, maybe.
I tried to get it out to everybody.
Okay, this thing? Okay, the thing that was important. But there was no funding in it.
No.
Right. She just referenced an email. I wasn't sure either in regards to what was in the email.
Okay.
I would just like to make a comment as we think about next steps. And thank you. You've worked very closely with John Carr, and thank you, Mr. Carr. I know you've been very involved in this. They have been proactive. They've hired BRPH Company, who is doing a civil review. It's going to include all mechanical, operational, plumbing. That's going to include waste, to determine if the existing facility can support the additional buildings, or modular buildings. And if not, what that would require for us to make sure that they do have the capacity that they will need for the additional student seats. So once we get those findings, then I will come back to you with a recommendation.
So this modular building is SREF, right?
Yes.
It will be.
That's what I read in here. And is the location on Lake County Schools property, or are you buying
Yes.
property? Okay.
We actually have quite a bit of property there that's not being used on that property.
Okay.
And I will say, I have met with her staff, and the drawings and the renditions that are there are very, very nice. Number one, it takes away from the portable setups that we have as far as children having to go out in inclement weather. They will be in covered hallways. Also, they would have bathrooms available to them that would not be in individual classes, but they would be what we now call group bathrooms. You cannot use the other word.
Right.
But but they have group bathrooms that would be accessible there. That's all under covered areas. So I think this is a good step forward.
Is your plan to keep the current portables that you have? I know you have quite a few portables, so I heard you say that you were going to repurpose those, or not repurpose them, refurbish the
Some
older
need
portables.
refurbishing and some are on their last leg. So the idea would be to ultimately have this building as our portable buildings and use the others for more office space or other things that aren't student stations necessarily.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Excuse me. Was this brought just for us to talk about, or do we want to give some type of?
I would love to have some kind
I
of.
think they're looking for some direction on
Right.
whether the board is interested in proceeding with it. I think there are additional questions that Mr. Carr needs to be answered, and you probably need to look at a more complete picture than this that shows how it looks on the campus. And there are, 2 or 3 other issues too that we need to address. None of them, I think, the only one that concerns me about being a project stopper is if Mr. Gang has some negative opinion about its impact on the money that was borrowed that includes Round Lake in it as collateral. I don't think that's going to be a problem. The way I understood, he discussed Mineola Elementary School and what we were able to do there. But there are some other issues. I think if I was Round Lake, I'd want each of you to kind of give them an idea of what your feelings on moving forward or not, and what you would like to need to do that. And then we would come back with all of the information on an action item asking you to approve the construction of the property.
I'd like to make a motion then.
Well, I don't think we're supposed to make a motion.
We have to make a motion. Are you?
I don't know what your motion would be, Mr. Mathias, but I think
that in light of the discussion, that should everything sort out, these studies and all this other, that we would be approving the
I
Round
don't
Lake
think we
expansion.
can do that.
Well, then I don't want to make that motion then.
Okay.
Is there anybody that's opposed to continuing to gather the information that it could come back to us and be presented?
That's what I was going to say, is there's a consensus to go forward.
Opposition to that, right?
What, so how many, so we have Spring Creek and Mineola and Round Lake and
Mascot.
Mascot.
No, Mineola.
Estatola?
That's 4, Mascot, Mineola, Round
Those are our-
Lake, and Spring
okay.
Creek.
Those are the conversions.
Okay, so Mascot has not come to us with a K-8 proposal yet. So,
Well, Mascot may not be a high-performing charter and may not eligible to automatically be allowed to add a grade or additional students.
oh, I didn't know the difference.
Round Lake is a high-performing charter. They are allowed under the statute to add a grade a year or to add additional students that exceed the original contract capacity, but they are not allowed to do that if they don't have physical capacity for handling the students in those classes. So what they're attempting to do is build that physical capacity to be able to add those additional students and grades.
Okay.
And since it's your property, they have to ask for your permission to move forward and to build a building on your property.
I'm a huge supporter of Round Lake. I know many of your teachers. I just, my one concern, or my one thought, I guess, is I also know how much money your teachers shell out in dollars themselves, personal money, to make that school great. And so with all these expansions, the charter, the school, is saving money, but I feel like it bothers me that it feels that it's at the expense of teachers who are then paying for school supplies and classroom supplies. So maybe that's just a comment. I still support your school, but it does, and it isn't just your school that I've noticed. Obviously, I've noticed it with other. So I'm just saying it's a concern of mine that I know you have teachers that are shelling out very large amounts of money.
Well, we give them a pretty hefty budget, and we also have been very successful in giving bonuses as well. I feel like my teachers want for nothing. If they come and ask me for something, there's 90% chance they'll get it. So I'm not sure where that is coming from. I know a lot of them do dish out money just for their own special other perks and things that they want to do, but we take care of our teachers at Round Lake.
As they're telling me.
I guess
I don't want that to be the only
No,
holdback.
that's not going to be.
And I had a question. I think I'd asked Mr. Johnson. I don't think we know of 100%. Are we okay to put if the funding for the property is still bonded and we're still working on paying that? Are we okay to add capacity on that property? We don't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, the logical answer is that adding additional capacity or additional value to the property would not be something that the bonding company would object to.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, we're just here to talk about it?
He wants to make a
Thumbs
motion
up.
really bad.
I
Right.
mean, if I were sitting over here, I would want something on the record more definitive for them
Their
to feel
board has already
comfortable.
voted yes.
But I think, though, what Mr. Mathias is talking about is that we as a board may need to give them a consensus that we approve of them going forward rather than them start doing things and then they've expended money that they shouldn't have done.
So do we have a
So
general
if we're in
consensus?
general consensus of that, we can tell them that. Is that
Yes,
correct,
sir.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
So
Are we
I'm
in
okay.
general consensus they can go forward and pursue this?
Yeah, without any caveat that we would change our position unless, I don't know what that unless would be.
Right.
Unless the review comes back from this company
Negative.
that they can't fulfill the obligations or requirements of the mechanical and electrical and all those things. That would be the only reason why they would be,
Right.
and I'm sure that those can be overcome. It's just a matter of what would those requirements look like. We don't anticipate that there being a problem, but I think just for the comfort of the board in making that decision, they actually had requested that through Mr. Carr, who the approved vendor would be to go out and do that. So they've
And I guess that's what
They've
I'm
done that.
saying, is that consensus of us, based on what you just said, why couldn't that be a motion and we give them that
No,
we
sir.
decided?
There's some contract
Number one, it's
things that have
not,
to be done,
it's
right?
not properly noticed to take that action. Number two, it would be difficult to agree to do something that you can't act on right now. And number three, this is going to have to be I'm going to recommend you have a written document. You're going to have somebody building a building on your property and hooking up to water and sewer and electricity. It's going to have to be put in writing, and you're going to have to approve those conditions before we move forward, I think. And we don't know what other
Pursuant to
conditions.
both parties agreeing and pursuant to the infrastructure supporting the structure and pursuant to the fact that the bond company improving their property doesn't object, or improving the property, that why would we not?
I only give legal advice, and that advice is not to make that motion.
That's a lot.
What you would like
Well,
to
it's
do.
a lot of
is
caveats,
your
but it
business.
also gives some confidence that we're not going to go back and all of a sudden go, whoa, wait a minute, we decided we're not going to do it.
I think that they've all heard, all four of you say that you're in favor of doing it and to move forward and to do what we need to do to get it accomplished, so.
What is your timeline?
Of course, as soon as possible, we'd love to have it open.
I mean, but like I was hearing literally fifth grade parents wanting their sixth graders going to Round
Correct.
Lake.
I'd have to-
Can we do this over the summer? Could it be done?
Where's Mr. Adams? Mr. Adams, come on up. He's working with the company that's doing the surveying and the civil.
While he's coming up, Mr. Carr, the fire suppression,
You can go to that one if you want, Mr. Carr. You can go to that one.
Yeah, that's part of the building fire and related codes. That's based on the assessment. That's going to be an option for them to take a look at, whether it's going to be fire separated as per code, or they'll take credits for that fire separation and put in a sprinkler system. And then again, as the superintendent has pointed out, that's going to be based on the adequate water flows and supply to see if it can sustain that.
Because we're hooked up, or actually that church property is hooked up to us, right?
Again, as the superintendent talked about, with the civil being conducted on that, we're going to look at how the system currently is taxed, quote unquote, based on use. Yes, sir.
I know that was a question.
Yes, sir. That's a very viable question. Yes, sir.
And whose expense is that? Whose expense is the company, the BRPH? That's the school's. Okay. And then if there are issues, that's going to be part of the expense that you would incur as well. Okay.
What about maintenance on the building? Does that become yours or ours?
Well, the way the portables work now is we have 3 we own that we maintain fully. If we get the district to do any kind of repairs or anything, we cover the parts and the labor. And the portables that are district-owned are maintained by the district on your dime instead of ours.
You're taking care of this, though.
I'm sorry?
So this would be, you would
This
own
would be
this,
ours, yes,
and
ma'am.
you would maintain this?
Yep, yep. And if we use district staff to do so, we'd pay for the parts and labor.
Right, okay. But it all came from FTE money, basically, right? Okay.
So now we're back to when you're going to open.
Hello, Mike Adams. I'm the general contractor, owner of Affordable Structures, based here in Tavares. To answer the first question about timeline, this is a 6-month project, as we've currently planned it on the Gantt chart. Obviously, the only caveat to that would be if there were issues in civil engineering. That's why we're undertaking the study, to make sure that we're careful with stormwater and land management, water, sewer, electric, landscaping, sidewalk accessibility, parking, all issues that go into complete site development. So once that study is complete, we'll have a very clear picture of what the timeline will be. But I would say it's relatively safe to assume a 6 to 7 month project from the point of contract. Also, one other thing that I'd like to clarify for the board, and I realize you have a fairly summarized short package to look at and make this evaluation, is that as a general contractor for 20 years, I've got a conventional site-built background, but I crossed over into modular several years ago because I saw an opportunity to build a better building, a more permanent building, and omit the word portable completely from my vocabulary for the projects that I do build. Most recently, we just opened a very nice fire station in Claremont, shared between the city of Claremont and Lake County, Fire Station 90-104. That was my project. We're doing a similar project in St. Cloud now. It's sort of a model for small municipalities in the state. So this 18,200 square foot building is modeled after that. It's a concrete and steel structure that won't have ramps and won't have stairs. It'll be a sidewalk entry, non-combustible, SREF compliant, with a 24-month manufacturer builder warranty on it. We think that it's going to be a model for the district to maybe take a look at. And to have the most impact for your budget also, we're approximately 33% under what you currently build an equivalent structure for with similar features and materials. So I appreciate the opportunity and working with the folks at Round Lake to do something a little different with the tax dollars. Thank you.
Hold on, before you go, I have, I'd like to thank you for using the word Gantt chart. I haven't heard that in a while. And also, my question was, hold on, what's the lifetime on the building?
40 years is the expected lifetime of the building, but I'll answer that in 2 ways. Major renovation, typically, first you're in a harsh occupancy. You're in elementary school, okay? So major renovation will typically take place 10 to 15 years after you open a harsh occupancy, medical, educational, and sometimes even occupational, depending on what the VOTEC curriculum is. But I would say that you're in a 10 to 15 year for renovation, but overall, I mean, how long does steel last? How long does concrete last? I'm comfortable saying 40 years. I can take you to projects of mine that are just past the 25-year mark. So based on my experience, I think that's an accurate answer.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay.
We're not going to vote or anything.
Nope. I think you've heard the consensus of the board, though, and we appreciate you guys all being here to answer questions. And
Do you have any idea when that review is expected back so we can make sure we get this on the next available agenda?
Of the civil engineering?
Correct.
I believe it's 4 weeks out, Mr. Adams? 4 weeks out.
Okay.
so if it's a 6-month project, then you wouldn't be opening your doors until January.
Probably.
Would you open in January?
That was
Yeah,
my
we
next
would open in
question. Yeah,
January,
okay.
yes.
You would open?
Yes, we would have it. Well, the plan would then be to put 3 temporary portables on the campus so that we can house the 6th graders that want to come next year, this school year coming up, and then move them into the new structure after.
So you
it
could
opens.
conceivably do 1 grade 16 in
Yes, yes.
17, 18?
Yes.
With temporary, is that your strategy?
Yes.
Temporary?
Isn't it $200,000 per portable?
For what?
Isn't that what I heard, that it was $200,000?
I think they're going to lease it.
No,
Oh.
we have connections with portables, and we're able to get them.
Portable does portables. He just doesn't use the word anymore.
We had to
Small modular
push a little
units?
bit to get those portables from him, but he has a way to get them for us.
Oh, okay.
Not through the district, through his own. So that would
To
be
be
our,
clear, that you're going to, for 17, 18, you would be ready to go. And then your campus would be ready by January.
correct. That is our goal.
Well done.
That is our
Good.
best goal. That's,
Good luck.
thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd vote
Thank you
for
very
it,
much.
except I can't.
I appreciate your consideration, and we'll move forward, and we'll look to, I'll keep Ms. Challenger posted on.
Go forth and build.
Thank you, Ms.
For having a
Barberger.
good school.
All right, we are at our superintendent report.
As Mr. Yoakum mentioned, and you all well know, on behalf of the board, I did send a letter to the governor asking him to veto the FEFP portion of the bill, as well as, or of the budget, as well as the House Bill 7069. And I, just encourage anyone who has not yet reached out to the governor, either through email or letter, to say, we will stand with you. We will not run and hide should you choose to do this. It's right for kids. I think that we are all feel betrayed and disappointed. As we started this legislative session, there was some great language that had been proposed. The testing bill had everything we could possibly hope for, including the elimination of the VAM. And all of that just kind of fell to the wayside as we neared the end of this legislative session. And it was done in a way that was kind of private and not out in the public where it should have been. And so the whole thing has just been really disappointing. So I encourage you to join the fight and let the governor know that we will support him in that decision. Our kids deserve way better. And $2.61 increase in per pupil funding doesn't even take into account the 176 additional students projected for us this coming year. So it's just an unfortunate situation all around, but the governor has an opportunity to help fix that, and we encourage him to do so. And as we prepare for the school year to close, it does end on Wednesday. I just want to wish everyone a very safe and happy summer, and just thank you for allowing me to be a part of the end of this school year, and I'm looking so forward to what lies ahead for us here in this district. So thank you.
Any letters of condolence?
Oh, I do have a letter of condolence sent to Diane Dwyer. She's the assistant principal at Tavares High School. She lost her brother, so our condolences to her.
Thank you. Okay, board member comments. Dr. Burns.
Yes. Okay, so I was able to attend the Leesburg High School graduation ceremony, which was absolutely fabulous. I graduated as a Panther, but I think Leesburg High might have a better ceremony. I'm just saying. It was really good. I was just it was amazing to see also from the perspective where I'm sitting more in the teacher perspective, and I could see how the parents really helped these children move on, and the teachers come together, and the assistant principals and the principals and everybody in that school came together and helped launch those children into adulthood, which is just. It was just a wonderful ceremony, and they have such lovely traditions, including giving a white rose to to the person who matters the most to them, who like their, I think it was meant for their mother or their father or their caregiver. It was just a wonderful experience. I wanted to say congratulations to Ms. Jerkins, again, from Leesburg High School. As you had heard, she was accepted as a potential for Teacher of the Year for the state of Florida, which is amazing. And I made a note, and I didn't put it in order, back on the graduation for Leesburg High School. Twice these children gave standing ovations to children who had trouble climbing the stairs to get on stage. The entire Leesburg High School graduating class stood up twice, and I was just blown away by just the character and integrity that we have in Leesburg and these kids, and I just thought these kids were just amazing. It was really a wonderful night. As a Lady Panther, I wanted to say congratulations to the Lady Panthers for winning second place in softball for the state of Florida. And Ms. Cornegie did a great job explaining the legislative, what's been going on with the legislature. So I did contact our lobbyist, and 7069 has not hit the governor's desk. It may at some time hit the governor's desk. It will. And when it does, he then has 15 days to sign it or not sign it. So we are just waiting, and I also encourage you all to call and help us fight against this bill. Thank you.
I want to thank Ms. Henson. What I didn't hear is where you're going to school.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you. Western Carolina University.
Well done. All the best.
Thank you.
And Mr. Baer, thank you very much, and thank you for all that you do. I want to compliment the superintendent also on getting ahead of the game and getting the letter to the governor and taking care of our district. I would, if we can get a consensus, I guess we don't vote anymore. But maybe the board could do a resolution. I don't, that would support that.
You're looking at me. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think we can do that, where we put together something from the board.
Where the board is saying the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Is that good? Okay. This is like, we're so casual now, like, cool, just do. We won't vote. We'll just do stuff. Okay. And to all the graduates, congratulations. I would like to remind them as they go either in the military, the 1% that serves our country, or those that go off to college. Ms. Henson, do not forget to call home. That's very important. So, and that's all I have.
All right. Well, there again, I was at the softball game Saturday, and Dave, I'm a little hot on this mic, buddy. But I appreciate the coaches' efforts and all that they did this past year with their team, all the athletes there on the Eustis Girls softball team for all that they did. They represented Lake County. They represented Eustis High School Panthers very well, and they need to be represented that way by the public also. Also was able to attend some graduations as a rookie. I attended my alma mater at Tavares High School, and they told me I had a couple words, and I went past a couple words, and they said, if you take us past 9 o'clock, it's your fault. We were in and out in 47 minutes with 260 graduates. So I did not take them past the 9 o'clock. We got out early. But I will tell you, the band and the chorus at Tavares High School did a rendition of the national anthem like I've never heard. It was great. I mean, if you were there and you heard it, you were like, wow, you know, this is great. Never heard something like this before, because it was not just the band performing, then the chorus came in and they performed as well, and it was outstanding. Then we've attended also last week Astatula Elementary, their version of Beauty and the Beast. And I tell you, the the kids that I got to see perform, because there was actually 2 sets of doing this, the kids I got to see perform were outstanding. And the guy that kind of just took my heart was the one with the, Lumiere.
If you take us past 9 o'clock, I'm going to be upset.
I got an hour and 50 minutes. But anyway, he was great. But I appreciated the opportunity to go there. This morning I was at Mount Dora Middle School's 8th grade commencements, and they had around 250 8th graders that moved up to 9th grade. And to hear the accolades of these students, all the achievements that they have done, the 8th graders and even the 12th graders at Tavares High was just outstanding. Also, Mr. Mathias and I attended Lake Hills graduation a little bit over a week ago, and it was wonderful as well. And, to see those children excited about graduating, it just touches you. And it's hard to sit there sometimes with a straight face, because your heart has to pour out because you see those kids. But I tell you something that sticks out to me, and I will take a few minutes on this. These teachers at Lake Hills and as Mr. Bayer down there in the classes that they deal with, they do a phenomenal job with these kids for what they have to do and how they have to try to teach these kids to go above. That to me just stands out, and it takes a special person to do something like that. Just a quick report in case you don't know, April Von Maxey is at home and she's doing well. She's attended different events, but she's in a wheelchair, but she is trying not to overdo it, but she's doing very well. And one last thing I would like to ask is it possible that we could get an audit report of the athletic boosters funding in and out this past year from all the high schools? Is that something that we can do?
We don't audit.
We don't audit, but it says they're supposed to have an audit.
There's conditions for having that audit, Mr. Campbell, and not all of the booster clubs are going to meet those conditions.
Okay. Well, I would just like to see how some of their monies that comes in and how it goes out. There's some questions.
All of them are required to provide financial reports under the board policy.
Can we get a copy of those?
I'm assuming they go to Carol.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I also have graduation down. I think we all kind of got a really nice dose of the strong tradition that we have in Lake County. And I think I went to Eustis High School and could speak just as highly about how we have, like I said, just tradition at each school that's different and unique, and that's what makes it special. Having gone to Umatilla High School and now Eustis High School and hearing about the other graduations, we just want to thank all of the effort that goes into making that such a special night for our kids and for their parents and their caregivers. And Ms. Henson, your speech was lovely. I have to tell you, it was so nice to sit on this side. We spoke about that and look out into the students' faces. They're just completely filled with excitement. I don't think it's irreplaceable, and to be able to see it from our vantage point as board members is just a spectacular thing. So I'm glad you got to experience that as well. I will also give another kudos to Ms. Flez because she went to the Friday game down in Vero Beach, drove back for graduation. And were you there on Saturday? Can I call you out for that? Yes, she went back on Saturday. So that's when we found out the timing of the softball state tournament and then the graduation, I think, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So thank you for your dedication to your students and your staff as well. And your commencement speech was beautiful. So you had a long drive to think and contemplate, I'm quite certain, but we appreciate that very much. Very much. It was all right here. That's right. I also had the third grade scores. I know that I've heard lots of people celebrating our third grade scores, and I've even heard from parents that have had students that have struggled that have done just really outperformed and shined, and we're looking forward to the rest of the scores coming in and hopefully mirroring that trend. I also got to do Rocket Day. We want to thank you for coming. Ms. Cornegie got to shoot off a rocket at Umatilla Elementary School's 19th annual Rocket Day celebration, and it did take a couple of tries, but it went. We also celebrated Dr. Moxley as the outgoing superintendent. She got to shoot off a rocket that had been signed by all the students. We had the sheriff's rocket was represented. We have some teachers that have been shooting rockets, like I said, for 19 years. My daughter got to shoot off a rocket, and we did recover it. It was not in great condition, but it is an outstanding tradition, celebration of STEM. It has tons of community involvement. People know that it's Rocket Day, especially the ones behind the school. a day. But it's a wonderful thing, and we just appreciate the opportunity to do that and have the students experience that. I have softball written down here too. I think we're all just super proud of our Lady Panthers, and again, super proud for next year because we graduated one student off that team, and so I can guarantee you, look out. Crescent City, I think is who they played, but I'm excited for that. I also wanted to extend my congratulations to the retirees that are coming up. We're celebrating their banquet, I think, on Thursday evening, and I'll be at Lake Virtual's graduation, so I wanted to extend them just thanks and appreciation for what they do for Lake County Schools. And last but not least, Mr. Dodd is not here this evening because he is celebrating his daughter's 5th grade graduation from Grassy Lake Elementary School. Jensen Luke graduates on Wednesday from 5th grade. So we're just celebrating lots of endings, maybe lots of tears. So we just want to wish all of our 5th graders, 8th graders, and 12th graders luck in their next journey. And with that, any objection to adjourning? All right, we're adjourned.